Dead Rock Chapter 18 is out, and all I gotta say is we're advancing through this tournament a lot quicker than I initially thought with this chapter. We got some pretty cool moments in this chapter as well, and the fight between Frey and LOUZEN has officially started. But before we jump into things, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Now, let's get straight into this chapter. Chapter 18 of Dead Rock, titled The Slime vs. the Nine-Tailed Fox. Kind of a spoilery title, but hey, what can you do? This chapter starts off back at the field day, obviously, as we get a brief rundown of what this tournament is, and being able to meet God, but the condition being that you have to kill your opponent in order to advance. We're also adding the caveat that Yakuto is going to have to fight and kill one of his friends as a potential future opponent, which is Frey. As Yakuto walks off the arena, Frey is the first to congratulate him for winning, with Hani and Ryzen saying, "Yakuto, why'd you have to be so brutal?" And Yakuto said he didn't really mean to be, but Zelecia is saying that it was a pretty nice win regardless. Mikoto says, "Let's cheer on Frey next," as Frey says, "-2 away though. I get to kill LOUZEN. I'm so excited, I can't stand it." As Yakuto is looking at Frey, we then cut back as the next matchup for round 1 is starting. As we have Setsuna of class 1B versus Virgio of class 2C. The giant neck guy thing that wobbles a lot. And Setsuna has her own rabid fan club of students, and Virgio just looks kind of weird. And to Zelecia, he looks quote-unquote scary to her. Frey then says that the next opponent that ends up winning is going to be Yakuto's opponent in his very next matchup. So whoever wins is going to be Yakuto's match. It's then that the fight begins. And as these two get ready, Hani ends up stating that the second years are going to be pretty tough. They're very special. As he says, they survived a year here. That's the reason why. Because there's only about a 30% chance of making it to your second year at Dead Rock. And Zelecia says all of Class F can make it to graduation though, right? But Hani says, "Did you forget about Hein? Are you stupid?" As Zelecia then remembers Hein and says, "But I don't want to lose anyone else," with tears in her eyes. Obviously his death did affect her, but Hani then thinks, yeah, but how can both of them make it through their fight? As he thinks about Frey and Yakuto, and obviously stating that he believes that they'll most likely end up having to fight each other as a strong possibility. But it's then that we see flower petals around Setsuna as she launches flowers aflame. As in a 2-page spread, Virgio is engulfed in flames. As Setsuna says, "I wonder what happens to slime when it burns." But as Virgio is screaming in pain, something else happens. His neck stretches out and goes around Setsuna, with Virgio stating, "You just turned me into burning slime." As he then turns the tables, engulfing Setsuna in her flames, as he says, "You know, I absorb the element of any attack against me." As Setsuna is engulfed in her flames, as he wants her to die by her own attack. As everyone is concerned by this, in the flames, Setsuna is actually laughing. It's then that we see, out of the flames, Setsuna revealing her true form as a nine-tailed fox, saying, "The nine-tailed fox cried out, hot, hot," with a smile. And I'm not gonna lie, this is a really cool design. This is a really cool panel, and I'm already liking the design. A shame that she's gonna have to die in the next fight most likely, but what can you do? Either way, she ends up coming out of the flames and is ready to turn things around, as everyone's wondering, wait, she is a nine-tailed fox root? As Hani says that she's a specter that can control souls. That's what the nine-tailed fox is supposed to be in this instance. And Setsuna says, "Your life, please." As in a 2-page spread, she unleashes her attack, Soulfire Dragon Tail, as she engulfs Virgio in an intense, all-consuming flame. And as Virgio is screaming out in pain, he then thinks back to his family as he went off to Dead Rock, as he says his reason for going is to get himself a girlfriend. Like how his mom and dad have each other, but his girlfriend won't be a slime, as we get to see his whole family. And he then looks at Setsuna, and then goes on to think, Ah, that new firsties, a cutie. As on the next page, we see him bubbling and blowing up in flames as he is in intense agony. As Setsuna says, "Dearie me, didn't you say you'd absorb it?" As Virgio dies, turning into a bubbling pile of slime. As the fight concludes with Setsuna being the winner and advancing to the next round. I also found it funny that we pulled the Demon Slayer like 2 chapters in a row, getting backstory before the character ends up officially dying. At least this time we saw it as we saw the finishing blow instead of right before getting the finishing blow. I just find it kind of funny, and also that Virgil was never going to be like anything big and was just there to show off Setsuna. And I'm alright with that. But yeah, that's another round down as Setsuna moves on, and Frey notices, is like, flames. She's the same as me, probably thinking that she's not so unique in the school for her own particular magic ability. But hey, the chances of you having the same or similar abilities as somebody else in a school of demons is still pretty high. As we then begin to cut away from Setsuna, we then get some bit of inner dialogue as she says, "Yuri, just a little longer, and God will be within reach." Now this could be one of 2 things. Either A, Setsuna is thinking of somebody that she loved in the past or someone she knew in the past that is either dead or suffering and she wants God to help them, or she lost somebody due to God and so she is also somebody that came to Dead Rock to get a chance at revenge. Which, that'd be pretty interesting to see as we get more characters wanting revenge on God, but that'd be pretty cool to see 2 characters that have an intense hatred for God and want to take him down with Yakuto, now Setsuna, if that's the direction Mashima's going to go with this next fight. So that's pretty interesting. But we don't have much time to linger as we start the next fight, which is Lloyd from Class 1C versus Eiji of Class 1A. As the fight is about to begin, but Eiji is looking over at Yakuto and not his opponent, as this is catching everyone off guard. As Eiji says in his head, "I swear I'll make you pay for killing Dest," showcasing his bond and sense of friendship and camaraderie with Dest, showing that his death did affect him in a pretty strong way. So that is good to know, and now it's even more personal between Yakuto and Eiji. But Lloyd tells Eiji to keep his eyes on him, and before turning around, we see Eiji begin to transform, as in a 2-page spread, we see him turn into a giant werewolf creature, as everyone is shocked that his root allows him to transform his body like this, just like Yakuto. And in another 2-page spread, we see Eiji completely eviscerate Lloyd in a single blow, just like we've seen Yakuto do in the past, showcasing his strength, knocking out Lloyd in a singular blow, turning him into a bloody mess, to everyone's shocked, as we end another fight in an instant. I also like this little panel after him winning, where Ryzen is being like, "Dude, if looks could kill, you'd be dead from that stare." And Yakuto says, "Maybe I provoked him a bit too much." Mikoto asks what he said, as Yakuto just says, "Yeah, I said I'm gonna kill him." And she says, "No wonder he's worked up." But Yakuto gets serious, saying, "But he is in my way. I'm the one who will get close to God." As Frey is kind of looking a little somberly at Yakuto as she's getting ready to head off to her next match. Yakuto goes up to her and says, "Frey, I believe in you." And Frey, with a serious, stern look, says yeah, as she heads off to face her true destined opponent. As in another 2-page spread, LOUZEN, one of the 4 demon teachers, appears riding a horde of his student zombies. Oh man, that is all types of disturbing and twisted. Then again, we know what this guy is all about, so I'm not surprised. But Lilith ends up saying, "He just needs to be in the spotlight, huh?" And everyone in the crowd is acting like this is going to be a pretty short and one-sided fight, as Frey is up against LOUZEN, but Frey charges up her Fist of Flames, and in the final page, we see Frey with a deathly stare looking at LOUZEN as the battle is about to begin, with LOUZEN saying with a maniacal laugh, "Let's begin." Now, this was a really quick and fun chapter. I know it had a lot of pages, but all things considered, the events of this chapter went by very quickly as we went through the next 2 matchups insanely fast. We got a 9-tailed fox character with flame powers going to fight Yakuto. I really hope this is more than 1 chapter fight right now, but right now we're getting one of the main events of this arc, and that is Frey versus LOUZEN. And I really, really hope Mashima doesn't kill off Frey in this fight. This is going to be a very big and intense fight, but at the same time, I don't think Frey is strong enough to beat LOUZEN, because LOUZEN is one of the top tiers of the verse, and it took all of Class F working together and Yakuto getting a buff from that white dragon to become what is basically a monochrome dragon and take out the vice principal. LOUZEN should be around that level. Granted, Mikoto was doing her best against Baltagar, so chances are Frey might be just strong enough, but it's still anybody's guess as to what's going to happen in the next few chapters, and I really, really don't want Frey to get taken out by LOUZEN, because if she dies to LOUZEN, she's going to be part of his battle zombies that he was riding on when he was entering the arena, and basically will have the same fate as her sister, and I really don't want that to happen. Frey is honestly one of my favorite characters. I love her on screen with everybody else and her dynamics with everyone, but man, this is going to be intense, and I foresee full-on emotions in the next few chapters, and I really hope this lasts more than a singular chapter, because while this is basically the length of like 2 to 3 chapters in general in terms of Mashima writing, I do think this should last an additional chapter, because this is one of the big fights of the arc, and I look forward to seeing what's gonna happen with this. But yeah, chances aren't good for Frey, but I expect a really strong fight. But what do you guys think? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. How you think things are going to advance going forward? Will she win? Will she lose? Will there be some sort of interference? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. I'm really looking forward to a fight between a nine-tailed fox and a dragon, and either Frey or LOUZEN fighting a werewolf, and one of those guys end up fighting Yakuto in the finals. That'd be pretty hype.